Chapter 9, Text 7. Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshe Punastani Kalpado Vishrijamaham. Sarva Bhutani, all created entities, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, Prakritim, nature, Yanti, enter, Mamikam, my, Kalpakshe, at the end of the millennium, Puna, again, Tani, all those, Kalpado, in the beginning of millennium, Vishrijami, I create, Aham, I. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations entered into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Purport. The creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material cosmic manifestation are completely dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. At the end of the millennium means at the death of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years, and his one day is calculated at 4.3 trillion of our earthly years. His night is of the same duration. His month consists of 30 such days and nights, and his year of 12 months. After 100 such years, when Brahma dies, the devastation or annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifestation by the Supreme Lord is again wound up in himself. Then again, when there is a need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by his will, Bahushyam. Although I am one, I shall become many. This is the Vedic aphorism, Chandogya Upanishad 6.2.3. He expands himself in this material in this material energy, and the whole cosmic manifestation takes place. Text 8. Prakritim swam avashtabhya vishiyami puna puna bhutagramam imam krishnam avasham prakrite avashat. Prakriti, in the material nature, swam of my personal self, avashtabhya, entering into Vishrijami, I create, puna puna, again and again, bhutagramam, all the cosmic manifestations, imam, these, krishnam, in total, avasham, automatically, prakriti, of the force of nature, avashat, under obligation. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. Purport. This material world is a manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This has already been explained several times. At the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. He lies within the causal ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. And into each universe, the Lord again enters as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Each universe is in that way created. He still further manifests himself as Kshirodakashai Vishnu, and that Vishnu enters into everything, even into the minute atom. This fact is explained here. He enters into everything. Now, as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnated into this material nature, and as a result of their past deeds, they take different positions. Thus, the activities of this material world begin. The activities of the different species of living beings are begun by the very moment of creation. It is not that all is evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. Men, animals, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created because whatever desires the living entities had at the last annihilation are again manifested. It is clearly indicated here by the word avasham that the living entities have nothing to do with this process. The state of being in their past life, in the past creation, is simply manifested again, and all this is done simply by his will. This is the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and after creating different species of life, he has no connection with them. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclinations of the various living entities, and so the Lord does not become involved with it. Text 9. Rajamam tani karmani nivadanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmashu. Now never also mami atani, all those karmani activities, nibadnanti, bind, dhananjaya, O conqueror of witches, udasinavat, as neutral, asinam, situated, asaktam, without attraction, teshu, for those karmashu activities. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. One should not think in this connection that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no engagement. In his spiritual world, he is always engaged. In the Brahma Samhita 5.6, it is stated, Atma Ramasya Tasyasti Prakritya Na Samagamaha. He is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activities, but he has nothing to do with his material activities. Material activities are being carried on by his different potencies. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. This neutrality is mentioned here here with the word Udasinavat. Although he has control over every minute detail of material activities, he is sitting as if neutral. The example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, but still he is neutral. He has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral, although he has his hand in every sphere of activity. In the Vedanta Sutra 2.134, it is stated, Vaishamya Naigranyena, he is not situated in the dualities of this material world, he is transcendental to these qualities, nor is he attached to the creation and annihilation of this material world. The living entities take their different forms in the various species of life according to their past deeds, and the Lord doesn't interfere with them. Text 10. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. Maya by me, Adhyakshena by superintendence, Prakriti by material nature, Suyate manifests both Characharam, the moving and the non-moving, Hetuna for the reason. Anena this Kaunteya Osama Kunti Jagat, the cosmic manifestation, Viparivartate is working. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, Osama Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Purport, it is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will and the background of this material manifestation, but the management is being conducted by material nature. Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita that all the living entities in different forms and species, all I am the Father. The Father gives seeds to the womb of the mother for the child, and similarly the Supreme Lord by his mere glance injects all the living entities into the womb of material nature. And they come out in their different forms and species according to their large desires and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, take their different bodies according to their past misdeeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attached to this material creation. He simply glances over material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately. Because he glances over material nature, there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but he has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. This example is given in the Smriti. When there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, he has nothing to do with this material world, but he creates by his glance and ordains. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. Yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. Text 11. Avajananti ma muda manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajananti, derived, mam, me, mudha, foolish man, manushim, in a human form, tanum, a human body, ashritam, assuming, param, transcendental, bhavam, nature, ajananta, not knowing, mama, my, bhuta, of everything that be, maheshwaram, the supreme proprietor. Translation: fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme lord of all that be. Purport from the other explanations of the previous verses in this chapter, it is clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man. The Personality of Godhead who conducts the creation of maintenance and annihilation of the complete cosmic manifestation cannot be a human being. Yet there are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely powerful man and nothing more. Actually, he is the original Supreme Personality. As confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna is the Supreme Lord. There are many controllers, Ishwaras, controllers, and one appears greater than the other. In the ordinary management of affairs in the material world, we find some official or director, and above him there is a secretary, and above him is a minister, and above him is a president. Each of them is a controller, but one is controlled by another. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the supreme controller. There are many controllers, undoubtedly, both in the material world and spiritual world. But Krishna is the supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna, and his body is Satchidananda, non-material. Material bodies cannot perform the wonderful acts described in the previous verses. His body is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Although he is not a common man, the foolish deride him and considered him to be a man. His body is called here in Manushim because he is acting just like a man. A friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. In so many ways, he is acting just like an ordinary man. But actually, his body is Satchidananda Vigraha, eternally bliss and knowledge absolute. This is confirmed in the Vedic language also. Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, unto to who is the eternal blissful form of knowledge. Gopala Upanishad 1.1. There are other descriptions in the Vedic language also. Tam ekam govindam. You are Govinda, pleasure of the senses and the cows. Satchidananda Vigraham. And your form is transcendental, full of knowledge and bliss and eternity. Gopala Upanishad 1.38. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, its full bliss and knowledge, there are many so-called scholars and commentators of Bhagavad Gita who describe Krishna as an ordinary man. The scholar may be born an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but this conception of Sri Krishna is due to a pure fund of knowledge. Therefore, he is called a Muda. For only foolish persons consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being. The foolish consider Krishna an ordinary human being because they do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything but we, and that he can award liberation to anyone. Because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. Nor do they know that the appearance of the Supreme Personality of God in this material world is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material energy, as has been explained in several places. Mama Maya Adurateya. He claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control, and whoever surrenders unto him can get out of the control of this material energy. If a soul surrendered to Krishna can get out of the influence of the material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the whole cosmic nature, have a material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot conceive that the personality of God, Krishna, appearing just like an ordinary man, can be the controller of all the atoms and of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and the minutest are beyond their conception, so they cannot imagine that a form like that of a human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. Actually, although he is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is apart from all this cosmic manifestation. It is clearly stated concerning his yogam Aishwaryam, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and the finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, but they know that the Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna consciousness, devote service of the Lord. There are many controversies between the impulses and pursues about the Lord's appearance as a human being, but if we consult Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the authoritative text for understanding the science of Krishna, then we can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an ordinary man, although he appeared on this earth as an ordinary man. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, when the sages headed by Shaunaka inquired about the activities of Krishna, they said, Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshava atimartyane bhagavan guda kapata manusha. Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so Mars he performed many superhuman acts. Bhagavatam 1120. The Lord's appearance as a man bewilders the foolish. No human being could perform the wonderful acts that Krishna performed while he was present on this earth. When Krishna appeared before his father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with 4 hands, but after the prayers of the parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child, as stated in the Bhagavatam 10.3.46. Bhaguva Prakrita Shishu, he became just like an ordinary child, an ordinary human being. Now here again it is indicated that the Lord's appearance as an ordinary human being is one of the features of his transcendental body. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also it is stated that Arjuna prayed to see Krishna's form of 4 hands. Tenaiva Rupena Chaturbhujena, after revealing the form of Krishna, when petitioned by Arjuna, again assumed his original human-like form, Manusham Rupam. These different features of the Supreme Lord are certainly not those of an ordinary human being. Some of those who deride Krishna and who are infected with Mayavada's philosophy quote the following verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:29-21 to prove that Krishna is just an ordinary man. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma avastita sada. The Supreme is present in every living entity. We should better take note of this particular verse from the Vaishnava Acharyas and Jiva Goswami and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, instead of following the interpretation of unauthorized persons who deride Krishna. Jiva Goswami, commenting on this verse, says that Krishna in his plenary expansion as Paramatma is situated in the moving and the non-moving entities as the Super Soul. So any neophyte devotee who simply gives his attention to the Archa Murti, the form of the Supreme Lord in the temple, and does not respect other living entities, is uselessly worshipping the form of the Lord in the temple. The three kinds of devotees of the Lord, and the neophyte is in the lowest stage. The neophyte devotee gives more attention to the deity in the temple than to other devotees. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur wants that this sort of mentality should be corrected. The devotee should see that because Krishna is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma, everybody is the embodiment or the temple of the Supreme Lord. So as one offers respect to the temple of the Lord, he should similarly properly respect each and every body in which Paramatma dwells. Everyone should therefore be given proper respect and should not be neglected. There are also so many impersonalists who deride temple worship. They say that since God is everywhere, why should one restrict himself to temple worship? But if God is everywhere, is he not in the temple or in the deity? Although the personalist and the impersonalist will fight with one another perpetually, a perfect devotee in Krishna consciousness knows that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality, he is all pervading as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Although his personal abode is Golok Vrindavan, he is always staying there by his different manifestations of energy and by his plenary expansion. He is present everywhere in all parts of the material and spiritual creation. Textual. Mogasho moga karmano moga jnana vichetasaha Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shida. Moga Asha, baffled in their hopes. Moga Karmana, baffled in their fruitive activities. Moga Jnana, baffled in knowledge. Vichetasaha, bewildered. Rakshasim, demoniac. Asurim, atheistic. Cha and Eva, certainly. Prakritim, nature. Mohinim, bewildering. Shrita, taking shelter of. Those who are thus bewildered and are attracted by demonic and atheistic views, in the deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Purport. The many devotees who assume themselves to be Krishna conscious and devote service, but at heart do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna as absolute truth. For them, the fruit of devote service going back to Godhead will never be tasted. Similarly, those who are engaged in pious activities and who are ultimately hoping to be liberated from this material entanglement will never be successful either because they deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. In other words, persons who mock Krishna are to be understood to be demoniac or atheistic. As described in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, such demoniac miscreants are never surrendered to Krishna. Therefore, their mental speculations to arrive at the absolute truth bring them to the false conclusion that the ordinary living entity and Krishna are one and the same. With such a called false conviction, they think that the body of a human being is not simply covered by material nature, and that as soon as one is liberated from the material body, there is no difference between God and himself. This attempt to become one with Krishna will be baffled because of delusion. Such atheistic and demonic cultivation of spiritual knowledge is always futile. That is the indication of this verse. For such persons, cultivation of the knowledge in the Vedic literature, like the Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads, is always baffled. It is a great offense, therefore, to consider Krishna to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to be an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded because they cannot understand the eternal form of Krishna. The Brihad Vishnu Smriti clearly states, Yo veti bhautikam deham krishnasya paramatmana sasarvasmad bhahiskarya shrautasmarta vidanatha mukam tasyavalokyapi sachelam stanam achare. One who considers the body of Krishna to be the material should be driven out from all rituals and activities of the Shruti and Smriti. If by one chance sees his face, one should at once take bath in the Ganges to rid himself of infection. People jeer at Krishna because they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their destiny is certainly to take birth after birth in the species of atheistic and demonic life. Perpetually their real knowledge will remain under delusion, and gradually they will regress to the darkest region of creation.